Discipline was just about willpower, nobody would fail. The real reason you avoid doing hard things is because your brain doesn't see that as a reward. Once you fix that, discipline stops feeling like suffering. So first off, if you want to make your brain crave doing hard things, you've got to stop having it compete with easy dopamine. This is one of the hardest things for people to do. They want to keep all of the bad habits that they have, whether it's eating junk food or playing video games, scrolling endlessly on social media, watching porn, all of these different things that are so stimulating, feel so good. A way to think about it that's helpful is that your brain is optimized to look for the shortest route to pleasure, which is kind of how we're wired. Our brains are kind of lazy. We don't want to put in the maximum amount of effort. We want to do the least amount of possible for the greatest amount of reward. It's why if you put a very unfit person who has trouble with overeating, if you put like some healthy food right next to them and also like some ice cream or whatever, they're probably going to go for that ice cream. They're probably going to go for that junk food. Not because they don't consciously know, oh my gosh, like that healthy food is probably going to get me to a better place. Like, no, all of us know this. It's just that your brain is wired to go for the easiest thing, the thing that will give you the most reward and like feel the best in the moment. That's what it's optimized for. Constantly making your brain compete with these different stimulating forces. It's always going to choose the simplest thing. It's very hard to get away from this. Even in the most disciplined people, if you put them in an environment where there's all these things, all these very stimulating things, their willpower is going to go out, and it's very hard to say no to a lot of things. One of the best and easiest strategies you can use to help your brain to do the hard things is just to get rid of those things that are very easy, that are very distraction, give you a lot of dopamine, give you a lot of stimulation, but aren't actually hard things that get you to where you want to be. This could mean deleting the social media apps on your phone, or even deleting your account so you're not tempted to just re-download them and keep scrolling. This can mean deleting your video games, or throwing away your console, selling your console, doing whatever it takes to get rid of that stimulation. This could mean blocking on like your device, these porn websites, or even going a step further, going to like your router and just like making sure that it's as hard as possible to re-engage in these bad habits. It's a very simple concept. If you make it as unrewarding, as painful as possible to do the thing that you don't want to do, you're probably not going to do that thing. And the harder things that you do want to do are probably going to become more available. They're going to feel more easy in comparison. They're not going to compete. The second thing is you need to shorten the feedback loop. For a lot of the things in life, a lot of the disciplines, a lot of the hard things you have to work on in order to get the reward, it's going to take a long time. It could take weeks, months, years, even multiple years. And a lot of people get stuck up on this. And especially in the world that we live in, where things are, so immediate, we're used to getting these immediate rewards. You have this idea, okay, you have Google, you can immediately look it up, or immediately go to something like ChatGPT to get the answer. Or, you want this product. Okay, you can immediately go to somewhere like eBay or Amazon and we just live in this world. We're constantly being trained that whatever we want, we can get as fast as possible. For a lot of the things that you have to work for that will actually make you a lot of progress, it's going to take a while. So what you need to do is make it so that your brain can feel and see the rewards right now as soon as possible, even if that doesn't mean the ultimate reward. What you can practically do is set milestones for yourself, but more importantly, measure your progress. This means, okay, if you're trying to get more fit and work out, measure the progress, measure how many workouts you've done, measure, the increase in the amount of weights that you're able to push, measure the amount of calories that you're eating, whatever it is. Just measure something so that your brain can see something. So whenever you get motivated, whenever you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this, this is too hard, you can look at whatever that thing, whatever that measurement is, and that's like progress that you can actually see. And that in itself can become the reward. Can't even begin to describe how powerful this. Not only like is measuring things helpful for actually being accurate, but one of my goals, which is like bulking, building more muscle, whatever. The big thing is getting enough calories every single day. By measuring it and, measuring my weight and also my calorie intake, whenever I feel demotivated, I'm like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm really not getting that much muscle, or maybe this path isn't worth it, whatever. When I look back at the measurements, when I see the progress that I've made from where I was, say, a month before this, or 2 months before this, years before this, I can be like, okay, and like my brain isn't so tempted to put this off and be like, oh, this isn't working. No, because I actually can see, okay, this is working. Here are the measurements. Here are the objective results. I'm making progress. And that gives me a sense of pleasure. That gives me a sense of reward. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have these measurements because it gives you the sense of accomplishment. If you're constantly in the dark, if you're trying to work for something that could take years and years to accomplish, and you have no way of measuring that you're making progress, your brain is going to do these things to convince you that, hey, stop doing this because, obviously it's not working because it has no proof, no concrete proof that any progress is being made. Measure your progress. You will thank yourself so much. Third is to attach identity to effort and not to outcomes. For a lot of the things that you want to achieve, you may have been told that, hey, all you have to do is, try this out for 30 days or 60 days or, a few months, maybe just a year, and you'll get the results. But everybody has different timelines. For a goal that took somebody 30 days, it may take you a few months, or a goal that may have took someone 3 months, it may take you a year. Who knows? Whenever you realize that you don't have that outcome and that outcome may not be coming as soon as you want to, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to be like, oh, I don't want to do this. This isn't going to work. But if instead you just attach your identity to the actions that will create that outcome, now it's not such a big of a problem. Now you don't feel like such big of a phony. Now you get pride from just doing the actions that will make the outcome happen. It's like you can imagine how silly it would be for someone to focus exclusively on the finish line and, their eyes are set on the finish line. All they're focusing is on like, oh yeah, I'm at the finish line. They're like imagining themselves. And, while that's all good and well, the person who just focuses on just putting one step after the other and just like making those small steps towards that finish line, they're going to make so much more progress than the person who's just exclusively focused on the finish line, but not focused on any of the inputs or the effort required to actually get there. You can set all the affirmations you want, like, oh yeah, I'm going to be rich, or I'm going to be like really healthy and fit, and I'm going to be the best, person, whatever. But if you don't actually do the efforts required to actually get there, it doesn't matter. You're just like a wishful thinker. So the next thing is you've got to do the hard things when you're least motivated. Pretty much, you've got to do the training when you're bored. You've got to do the training when you're tired. You've got to work when you're bored. You've got to start doing the action when you don't feel like it. Because what I've noticed for a lot of things is that we operate in these cycles. Say, for example, it's your willingness to work cycle. And maybe you have these days where, for 3 days or maybe a week straight, you're very motivated, you want to work and you're really going at it. But then for like 3 days after that, you're just like lazy and you don't want to do anything. But then a week after that, then you're like fine and you're totally going after it. If you can just condition yourself on those days where you really don't feel like it, just condition yourself to do it anyways. Now you're not going to keep falling in that cycle. Now you're not going to repeatedly keep like falling. Basically what this means is if you train yourself to do the thing even when it's uncomfortable, now you upgrade yourself. Now you're at a higher level. Now you can do those things more consistently, more routinely when you don't feel like it. So you're not really so reliant on your feelings, which change like every single day. And I guess there's just going to be those times where you have to like grit your teeth and really just go at it, even when you don't feel like it at all. There's some times where I really don't want to record a video, but I just have to do it because, that's the rule. That's the standard I've set for myself. There are times where I really don't want to work out because I'm tired and, maybe I didn't get enough sleep or maybe something happened. I just don't really want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's the standard I set for myself. That's just a rule that I have for myself. And by training myself to do those disciplines, even when I don't feel like it, I end up feeling better, way better after it. Because it's like, well, yeah, I actually did that. And I didn't just rely on some fleeting emotion. This is where the willpower comes in, where you've just got to train your brain to do the things, even when it feels uncomfortable. Lastly, you can never negotiate with resistance. This will happen for a lot of people where they're like, they have this idea of what they want to do, but then they feel resistance. It's like, I really don't want to do it. So then they, make this, idea up in their head. Okay, well, I'm not going to do it today, but, the next days I'm going to really go after it. But then the next day comes and they don't do it. And then they're like, okay, tomorrow, then I'm really going to do it. Or like the day after that, I'm really going to do it. But then they don't end up doing it. No, you cannot negotiate with resistance. Whenever you encounter resistance, you've got to realize what it is. It's your brain trying to stop you from doing that thing because it's uncomfortable. It's understandable. You've just got to not allow it to get you off track. What really helps with this, so you don't make excuses for yourself, is to set predefined rules for yourself. So if you're trying to get in shape and, whatever, Instead of just like going willy nilly and, just saying, having this vague idea of, okay, I'm just going to work out more or I'm just going to eat better. And it's like very vague. Have preset rules. Okay. What exactly am I going to do for my diet? Okay. What are the foods that I'm allowed to eat? What are the foods that I'm not allowed to eat? How many calories should I be getting in? How many workouts a week am I supposed to do? How many hours should I be spending at the gym? Or if it's like, for work or business, whatever. Okay. How many days a week am I committed to just sitting down, focusing and doing the work? How many, if it's like managing my money, at what day of the week and at what time am I going to do this? Just having these predefined rules for yourself. So when resistance comes and your brain is like, okay, well, I don't want to do this. You already have this rule for yourself. It's already concrete. So there's no negotiating. It's just a rule. It's just a standard you have for yourself. It makes it so much easier to stop procrastinating and stop negotiating with that resistance. What a lot of people do is they just rely on their feelings. Okay, when I feel like working out, when I feel like working on my business, when I feel like managing my money, when I feel like doing this, which is very rare, then I'll do it. No, you've got to decide in advance when you're conscious and like in a good state. Okay, this is when I'm actually going to do it. And, of course, know where you are, know what level you're at. If you have a whole bunch of responsibilities and you commit yourself to doing way too much that you can't handle, don't put that on yourself because then you're just going to get even more discouraged. Especially in the beginning of something, just set the bar kind of low, set the bar in a way that you can handle it and handle it consistently. And if you decide later on, okay, I can increase the stakes, I can put more time, I can put more effort and more energy into it. Okay, good, do that. But make sure it's something that you can do consistently for whatever time period and just do it. Set the rule for yourself, keep that standard, and don't negotiate with your emotions. Don't negotiate with resistance. Just do it. Hard things stop being hard when your brain learns that they're safe, rewarding, and just part of who you are. You don't need more motivation. You just need more conditioning.